Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and this is day 1 of Revenge Week 2.0. Over 46% of you wanted to feel extra spicy this week, so that's what I'm gonna give you. To those of you in the comments who wanted more wholesome videos, I hear ya, and I'm gonna try and maybe do a double upload one day to get some wholesomeness in, but I can't promise it. Also, before I get into the stories, there's 2 things I want to mention. First is the Easter giveaway. If you missed my malicious compliance video yesterday, then I'll leave a card in the top right to take you to that video where all the information on how you enter is in there. The second is my Discord server. If you want to come and hang out with us, then there's a link in the description down below. Come and say hi. Okay, so without further ado, on to the petty revenge. Petty revenge on entitled parent for taking my pool chair. Was staying at one of the higher end hotels in Vegas, think Roman motif, so lots of people with lots of dollars and lots of entitlement. I love their pool area and always wake up at 8 AM when the pool opens in order to get my favourite lounge chair. It is in the back row but not too far from the main pool, on the aisle, and stays in the shade till mid-morning in the summer, thus prolonging pool time in the summer Vegas heat. Normally, if you aren't at the pool by 10ish, good luck getting a chair, but this day there were several still available but not in the shade. Entitled mum and her hellspawn 3 kids come to pool around 11ish and want me to move so they can be in the shade and on aisle. I say no and they move along. Or so I thought. A short time later I decide to go in the pool for a while because shade is gone and it is still hot. I stay in the pool for around 30 minutes and decide to get out, start walking back to my chair and see people sitting there. What the heck? Yep, entitled mum and her hellspawn have shoved another lounger on the aisle and blocked my lounger in, where I can't even really get in it as it's right up against theirs and another one. I ask what she is doing and then she pretends not to understand English. I grab my stuff and find another chair and I am so pissed. A short time later, I see them go to the pool. This is where the petty revenge comes in. My towels are already wet from being in the pool, so as I go to leave, I accidentally leave them on the entitled mother's lounger and then accidentally pour my water bottle all over their dry towels. Oops. Petty, but made me feel better. Love is love, and it triumphs. This one isn't too exciting or too crazy, but thinking back on it now makes it quite clear that it most certainly was petty crap. A TLDR will be at the end of this for y'all who say F the reading. Born and raised in a state as open as California, specifically the Bay Area, has its ups and downs. On one hand, you have the freedom to be who you are and express that. Not trying to imply freedom only exists in Cali, it's just more apparent here. And that's the thing. Freedom is a double-edged sword, since people all have different lives, thoughts, beliefs, etc. However, in my book, I believe that no matter who you are, you should believe in what gives you hope and strength and doesn't harm others in any way. Religion should bring people together without casting others out, and here's where the tea spills, y'all. In my sophomore year of school, I was kicked out of my prestigious high school and sent to a continuation school for multiple offences such as behavioural issues, tardiness, lack of productivity. I failed the same math class 3 separate times. In general, I was behind in almost 180 credits, or something like that, truancy, etc. My new school was right on the threshold of posh and ghetto, a side of town that people generally forgot about. It's where the drugged up, the homeless, prostitutes, gangbangers, etc. went. Despite the way it sounds, it was a very family-orientated school. Kids had beef and drama, but it was always hashed out and we all got along pretty well, aside from major fights that sometimes involved swinging at staff members. See, this school had a maximum of 70 to 80 students, as opposed to my original high school of over 2,000 students. We stick up for our own here in the Bay. Anyways, it was senior year and I had a boyfriend at the time. He was a short-tempered dude and I was a pain in the ass, but we got along pretty well. One day after class, the 2 of us and a group of friends, consisting of a lesbian couple, a single girl, and a dude and a girl who were talking, and another friend, decided to walk to the bus stop down the street to take us all directly to the mall. On our way there, we saw a woman standing on the sidewalk we were on, holding a poorly made picket sign that said, "God hates gays, don't let Satan corrupt your children, contact this church at this number here, blah blah blah." She was waving at cars and flailing her arms about, and going as far as to stop students who passed her by to give them flyers. My ex-boyfriend saw this and decided to scheme. I'm oblivious, so I decided to keep walking on in silence. Why fight an uphill battle when you can just walk by? I don't know, man. Anyways, I look back at the squad and see they're all lined up, and as we approach this woman, my ex dips me and kisses me. I didn't know what to think. We were on a public street on that side of town, kissing in front of a homophobic preacher. As my ex gets me back up, I regain composure and look at my friends. Apparently the lesbians were going at it while the others, now a couple, made out minus the single girl who was ace. The single girl who was very smart played the annoying pretend curiosity card and began asking the preacher annoying question after question, even raising her voice at her. I remember walking away in a hurry, but my ex told me she was pissed off, berated them, and told them that it wasn't too late for God to save them while trying to hand them all pamphlets, and they declined. She angrily crossed the street to preach in the Asian supermarket parking lot. So yeah, love is love. Love yourself and your life before you go trying to fix others' lives. Neighbour won't stop singing in the karaoke at 3 AM. They no longer have a karaoke machine. This happened when I was in the 5th grade. In the Philippines, singing in the karaoke machine is a popular form of entertainment for small cities, especially when there's an occasion. One time, our neighbour was celebrating a birthday and there was some singing. Now, this wasn't a problem for us since they usually stop singing around 11 PM and everybody goes to sleep quietly. This was not one of those times. So I slept at 10 PM. I then awoke to the sound of singing at 3 in the morning. I was not happy since I had exams that day and needed the rest. My mum noticed that I had awoken to the noise and decides to tell the neighbour to stop singing since it's already 3 AM and we need the sleep. The neighbours simply laughed at her and asked her, "What are you going to do about it?" My mum went back to our house and the neighbours started to laugh thinking they had won. What they did not know is that my mum phoned the cops. A few minutes later, the cops arrived and talked to our neighbours. This is when other neighbours who were also disturbed by the noise also appeared and began ganging up on the family. The cops then decided to take away the karaoke machine since it had disturbed the whole neighbourhood. The neighbours couldn't do anything as the cops took away the karaoke machine. We never had another incident with the neighbours and they sold their house shortly after. The new neighbours are really nice and they are a quiet family. Thanks. What goes up must come down, and back up again, and back down. I just started working for a company. Had been there roughly 4 months when I received a call from a manager. Another rep in our customer care department claimed I had given bad information to a client. Me being overly hard on myself when I'd made a mistake, researched my response and the associated products and services. I told my boss my response was accurate, and the response the rep was given was incorrect, so I didn't know what the problem was. My manager reviewed my response, the resources I'd used to provide the information, and she said okay, and I thought that was that. Then I went back and reread the email and noticed it had gone from the rep, to her boss, to her senior manager, to the ops director, to the COO, down to my VP, to my senior manager, to my assistant manager, down to me. It was a large client. I went back to my manager and said I wasn't happy with her response as I was new with the company, and I wanted the information I provided to her to go back up the chain to the CEO and back down to clear my name. Having the CEO and ops director think you're incompetent is a lovely way to ruin your career before it starts. She understood my logic, sent it back up the chain, back down the chain to the rep who was then told to double check her work before accusing someone of making a mistake and getting our senior and executive managers involved in the issue. She was given a verbal warning and apologised to me directly in an email and face to face. I managed to talk them into removing the warning to the agent, more or less undoing the PettyRevenge, but I felt vindicated for several days before I realised, on the whole, she was trying to make certain the client was taken care of and didn't deserve to be castigated for it. Restored my reputation and cleared the air, made a friend in the mix too, so win. Won't pay me back? Have fun paying all of a month's rent. This one's my mum's story. Many years ago, my mum was roommates with 5 people, including a lady, L, whose name was on the lease, and her bratty son, BS. My mum, despite not having a good paying job, always made her rent every month and saved money on the side. For the most part, she got along with everyone, even going so far as to let the bratty son eat the food she bought, which by the way, he always tried to sneak behind her back. One day, lady comes to my mum asking to borrow around $800, going down on her knees and crying about the terrible financial situation she was in. Well, mum was always the type to come to people's aid, and with the promise of being paid the money back in the following month, she went ahead and lent lady the money. As you can guess, month after month passed and lady never paid mum back despite being continuously reminded. And of course it was always accompanied with some excuse. I have to pay for Braddy's son's school uniform, I don't have enough money this month, etc, etc. Well, mum knew she was lying out of her ass, because she would see lady making long distance calls to her boyfriend overseas that would last hours, see lady with new and unnecessary things, etc, obviously pointing to the fact that she had the money but didn't prioritise paying my mum back. So mum cooked up a plan. Since everyone gave their share of rent to lady every month, my mum went to the other 2 roommates and informed them of the whole situation. They agreed to give their share of rent to my mum instead of lady, leaving lady with the responsibility of shouldering a whole month's rent, which she would then have no choice to pay as the lease was in her name. When lady found out about this, she stormed over to my mum and demanded why she had done that. Coolly, she replied, "You owed me $800, I was just trying to get it back." Co-worker said something horrible after friend co-worker dies, so I slowly drive her to quit. 6 years ago, working crappy job, friends with everyone except this one older woman who would make snide comments, call me and my friends young snotty witches, and I'm pretty sure broke into my phone when I left it in the company vehicle once. Our supervisor was awesome and hated her just as much as we did, but had to be professional. She was also romantically involved with our boss. As a result of a pre-existing medical condition, she passed away in the middle of the night. Supervisor was like a mentor and second mother, and I took her death really hard. So when I heard that older woman was spreading rumors that it was the boss's fault that Supervisor died, it obviously wasn't. No one believed her, but I was furious she would be so nasty to boss so soon after the funeral, but decided I was sick of her crap and the drama. So the other young snotty witches and I started to secretly drive her crazy. If she would talk, we would pretend we couldn't hear. We wouldn't acknowledge she existed. We wouldn't talk about anything other than work when we had to talk to her. She was bad at her job, and before we would just put up with it, but now we were as condescending and belittling as you could be without being outright rude. So when she complained about us to boss, he wouldn't have to reprimand us. Everything she used to say we were, we made a reality. And she couldn't say crap because we smiled and had a polite tone. I.e., I know how hard it is to remember, but you just have to make sure that when you do A, that you also do 1, 2 and 3 first. Less than a week after Supervisor's funeral, old woman walked off the job without a word to anyone. Edit. Almost forgot, best part, we had a company carpool, and the morning after she walked off the job, we didn't know she quit yet and thought she just left in a huff. Boss didn't bother calling to check up on her. Show up to pick her up and she isn't coming out, so I call her and she starts out all angry. I quit because you witches. I cut her off and say, okay, sounds good, have a good day, in my best customer service voice and hung up. F her. Okay, so that's all for r/PettyRevenge. I really hope you did enjoy day 1 of Revenge Week 2.0. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!